Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the RMW Rock My World podcast. I'm Tony, coming from Massachusetts, and let me introduce you to my two co-hosts. We've got our man in the Windy City, better known as Chicago, Chuck. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing fabulous.
Fantastic. And across the pond in Leeds, in England, we've got our man Mike. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm excellent. Thanks, Tony.
Lovely. All right, well, let's get at it. So, it's been an incredibly busy week, so let's get started. One word, Spotify. Need I say more, Chuck?
Spotify. I don't know if that's a bad word or a good word.
I think it's going to be in the Urban Dictionary as something that's not too great if the current trend carries on. I mean, it is pretty insane. Spotify has been a bit of a nightmare. So, according to Spotify, they've weighed in. According to the new CRB regulations, they overpaid most publishers in 2018. Now, here's the kicker. They want the money back, but the streaming giant doesn't plan on recouping all of its funds at once. Nope. They plan to garnish the amount of royalty checks to publishers through the end of the year in order, and this is the kicker right here, to minimize the impact. Are you kidding me?
It's ridiculous. I mean, nothing like not paying anybody anything anyway, and now they're gonna dink everybody.
Oh, well, I mean, are they? They're not the lowest payer, are they? I think is YouTube the king of the crop there.
Yeah, but I mean, I think YouTube at least has some semblance of an excuse in that their platform is not, solely based on streaming music.
I mean, the list goes like this that I've seen. The recent one is Napster's the number one payer with 1.9 cents.
Oh, the irony. The irony right there, right? Everybody went after Napster, and here they are being the good guys. Come on.
I mean, Tidal's is second at 1.2, and then Apple's third at 0.7 of a cent. Google Play is 0.6, Deezer 0.6, Spotify is 0.4.
Wow.
Amazon's 0.4, Pandora is 0.1, and YouTube is 0.00069 per play.
Well, yeah. The thing is with Spotify, they were the first one to throw their rattle out the cart. It was like as soon as the royalty board, they increased the songwriter payouts, right, from up to 44% between the years of 2018 and 2022. Spotify went ballistic, and now they want money back.
Yeah, exactly. Its thing is as well, like you said, garnishing it till the end of the year. That isn't exactly a good way of doing it anyway, because this is because it's going to be with pretty much no warning for people. And okay, look, it's kind of hard to sit there and go, oh no, poor millionaires are not going to get their money. Yeah, but it's not just that, is it? It's the teams around them and stuff like that that may well have been relying on that income to fund, upcoming projects and, keep people's wages paid.
Well, it's the wild, wild west, you see. The amounts coming in to Spotify. I mean, who can really track it anyway? I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, here, look at this. To make minimum wage in the United States, which is $1,472 a month. Yeah. On Tidal, you need 177,604 plays. On Apple Music, you need 272 plays.
Wow.
On Spotify, you need 336,842 plays. On YouTube, you need 2,133,333 to make minimum wage. I mean, I have a strong opinion on streaming. It's the Band-Aid. It's the finger in the dike that, I just don't think it's the answer. I think the music industry is at a complete loss right now on how to fix. Can you go back? There's no way to go back to the old days.
Well, no, I was actually lucky enough to be in Palo Alto many years ago with a good friend of mine. And I actually saw Steve Jobs standing on stage. I kid you not. And I remember these golden words. He stood there and he went, "We've got this thing called the internet. We're not sure what it's worth yet, but we think it's going to be pretty big." I mean, wow. Jesus Christ! I swear to God, I'm going, oh right. And like the idiot that I was, I didn't go buy. I should have been buying. I should have been like a crazy man and buying everything up, but I didn't. I thought it was so far away, but Jesus, it turned around in a matter of years. It was but it's still kind of the wild, wild west. But it's controlled now, and companies like Spotify, Pandora, I mean, they are not only are you're stuck with them if you don't want to do the premium option where you're having to pay money every month to listen to the songs. They are pushing stuff on you non-stop. I mean, it's a license to print cash. These streaming giants, and artists are getting the brunt of it. They're getting kicked in the ass, and that is not right.
Well, it's just trickle down effect.
Yes.
The artist doesn't have money. They're not making money. They can't now pay to record or pay. This is the downgrading of music. The quality is not as good. There's no money. The labels are not doing artist development anymore because they don't have the money to do it. So everything has to be a surefire thing, straight out of the gate, ready to go. The people like myself, the producers, we're having to put extra time in projects to get it so that it'll get accepted. And it's got to be turnkey. And you can hear it in music. The not making money thing. Yeah, in the 80s, there was a lot of bands making too much money, labels making too much money. I get it.
Yeah,
well, that's the reason that the pirate industry popped up to begin with. The dodgy Dan with his £5 knockoff CDs.
Oh, totally.
And that was because the labels were taking the piss. But this time round, this is a totally different situation.
I mean, the whole industry is taking a piss right now.
Yeah. I mean, look. I mean, Chuck, you and I are at an age that I can remember saving up all week my quote-unquote pocket money and going and buying a single from Woolworths or whatever it was, or the local record store. They're gone. And Mike, again, this is not being disparaging, but you're of an age where records, maybe a bit more now with the resurgence of vinyl, but record stores aren't popping up left, right, and centre. Just like in England, pubs are closing all over the place. So were record stores, and anything that was associated with selling vinyl it just all disappeared. 80s gone. And now again, there's a resurgence. But Mike, I mean, what do you think of that? Because downloading is key. Downloading is your world.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, look, no one wants. To be honest, 9 times out of 10, if I can avoid actually going to the shop and buying something and just have it turn up at my house or have it instantly on my computer, of course, I'm going to take that. But I do remember the record stores existing, and I also know why they died. Quite simply, is because they didn't diversify. They didn't actually, take online up properly. Like, you look at the only one that's still alive in the UK, so, like Virgin Records have gone, etc. The only one left alive is HMV, and they're on life support. But the reason that they're actually managing to, hold themselves together is that the big flagship stores have, artists come through and do signings and things like that, like they used to do in the 80s. They all got complacent when I was a kid. I don't think I ever saw a major store doing a signing or, really putting any effort in. And, now vinyl get through them a lifeline. It really did. And I know people that have, worked at HMV for quite a long time, in both management and in, on the actual store level. And they're saying, vinyl saved so many stores. But then you look at Virgin Records, it just didn't try anything and then died, No,
and that was a huge franchise right there. I mean, it was absolutely insane. 3, 4, 5 floors of CDs, albums, videos. It was mental. And I can remember walking in Chicago to Beverly Records.
Oh yeah,
in Beverly. The guy was nearly in tears. We started a discussion about basically the resurgence of vinyl and the fact that so many stores had gone down. And he just looked at me and just said, "I'm just glad to be here." But he worked it. He was never going to change. He was never going to do downloads. So again, Spotify hasn't affected him, but my word, all of those streaming giants have destroyed that industry.
Well, look, the same happened to bookstores, right? And what did the bookstores that survived do? They started serving coffee, and they started, having, people come through and do signings. It's basically what HMV's done, and they've managed to actually survive. They've made it a bit more of a community thing. And again, speaking to anyone who actually works at one of these places, they'll say, we've got the same customers that come in, and they will talk to the staff, and it's more of a, people go there because they want somewhere to go and buy something physical. And this is the thing, is that it's taken these stores some time to actually realise that this is what they need to be doing. They need to be treating the few customers they have like they're a service, not like they're selling them something.
I think there's more to the story. I mean, I worked record retail for about 3 years.
Yep.
Back in the 90 through 93. And, buying music and listening to music was an event. And that's
Yes.
gone. I worked the Metallica Black Album release. We had the Monday night midnight sale. There was 400 people in line at our small. I mean, we were a chain in Chicago of 30 stores, but at our one shop there was 400 people in line waiting to get the record. You know, we were blasting the album. It was a party in the store. Everybody was out in the parking lot playing the album, and it was an event. Yeah. I did the Prince. I don't remember which record it is. The one with Get Off on it. Same thing. It wasn't just metalheads or rock people. It was everybody. Everything was an event. I remember going to Rolling Stone Records in Chicago, which is the big place, and on a Friday, and there's 300 people in there buying. I'd buy 5 albums, and I couldn't wait to get home and crack them open and put them on and listen, and it was a listening event.
Oh, I can remember being in those same kind of stores in my hometown in Birmingham, and I've spent quite a lot of time in Chicago and lived in New York for a long time. Those little vinyl shops, people would just be in there for hours, literally, and all you'd hear is as they're flicking through album after album after album, and it was beautiful. It was the smell of vinyl, it was the smell of the covers. It was great. It's gone. It's gone, and let's be realistic about it. And that's why the audacity of Spotify, it's like, oh, we're going to do you a favor. We're going to try and minimize the impact. Give me a break.
So now I'm not going to make $8. I'm going to make $3 on my monthly paycheck. Give me a break.
Oh, it is. It's outrageous. But it is a machine. And who's going to fight the machine?
We're in the middle. We're kind of just in limbo right now on what the next thing is, and I don't know. I wish I knew. I'd be a billionaire. I
tell you what, well, you'd be right there, mate, and I'd be right there with you. Any chance of a loan, Chuck? Because Spotify have killed me. No, sorry. Staying with these bloody giants killing the music business, how about the ongoing bull Universal Music Group? What on earth? It just gets worse and worse. I mean, serious trouble is on the horizon here. There are now over 700 masters that are deemed lost in that 2008 fire, and I can see lawsuit. We all can, I'm sure about that. But
didn't they already start lawsuits?
Oh, absolutely. Soundgarden are in. I mean, again, Courtney Love, as we mentioned in the last podcast, she loves the scrap, so she's ready to go. But what I wanted to point out here, and I know you guys know this, let's touch on this. The loss of masters to rock and metal. Wow, it's pretty substantial. I mean, where do you think this is heading next? Obviously, more lawsuits, but it is. I think we've only scratched the tip here.
I mean, looking at this list of the known masters, I mean, the 1990s were erased.
Yeah.
I mean, and even before that, I mean, Aerosmith, Audioslave, Blink-182, The Damned, The Eagles, Guns N' Roses, Hole, Jawbreaker, Jimmy Eat World, Limp Bizkit. I mean, it's 9 Inch Nails, Nirvana, No Doubt, Tom Petty, Smash Mouth, Sonic Youth, Soundgarden, Spinal Tap. Oh my God, we lost Spinal Tap.
So not only did we lose 3 or 4 drummers, we've lost the master tapes.
Yeah, you beat me to the joke, Tony.
Oh, sorry, thank you very much. Try the veal. I'm here a week. No, carry on. But yeah, I mean, just that list there, Chuck. And this is, again, we deal in rock and roll on this podcast. The loss to the pop and hip hop community. I mean, Tupac, his estate is going after them big time. Those masters mean something. And I know we touched on it last week that, okay, we've got them as recordings and we've got the albums and we've got vinyl versions and we've got remastered versions. But it's the masters, man. It's the real deal. And Universal Music Group didn't tell the artists. What is wrong with that picture? Come on. That's a blatant, straight out lie. Someone's got to go after these pieces of... It's insanity.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Petty and Tupac are kind of leading, or the Tom Petty estate and Tupac estate are leading the charge. Yeah. I mean, what do we got? $100 million class action lawsuit sitting here right now.
Yeah, and rightly so. I mean, you could almost forgive it that in 2008 they put their hands up and they go, "Holy Jesus, this is much, much, much worse than we anticipated. We don't know how to tell you this, but I mean, come on, 11 years have passed." And they haven't opened their mouth. And to me, that's absolutely abhorrent. How can you do that?
Yeah, this should have been known
how
a
did
lot
they
earlier.
think? And I'll say one last thing, and I'll shut up because I've got a big mouth. But I will say this: how on earth did they think they were going to get away with it? Is this the ostrich in the sand where it's like, oh God, if we don't think about it, it's never going to happen? Well, it's going to happen, and it has, and they are now in deep doo-doo. Mike?
Oh yeah, I mean, the thing is that I'm guessing they just figured that it's not exactly as if most of the artists can, go walk and take a look and visit their masters as if it's, a puppy that they've given to someone else.
Right.
I'm guessing they just thought nobody would catch them. They must have thought they'd get away with it. Otherwise, they'd have sort of slowly started telling artists years ago.
Well, that's what's bizarre to me. They've not got much money, the Universal Music Group, so they've probably only got 1 or 2 lawyers on staff. No! These guys are all sat there going, oh, geez, we're about to get... Who on earth deemed it possible to keep this a secret? Whoever the law firm is, I want to find out who they are. Who was the law firm in 2008? Mike, get on the computer. In 2008, that said, "Shh, it's okay. We'll keep it quiet for a while and see what happens."
To play devil's advocate, I'm sure Universal Music Group said, well, we own these masters, because you do. You sign a record deal, they own the masters. You can't demand them, you can't do anything. They own them. So that at the end of the day, they're kind of like, well, who cares? We owned those. We lost them. You weren't going to ever get them back. Unless, your contract ran out, you bought your masters back from them or whatever, but they technically own them.
No, I got it, but you've got the case of Picasso doing an amazing drawing. It gets purchased by a Chinese dealer. It goes up, the house burns down. It's gone. It doesn't matter whether that guy owned it or not. It was a Picasso.
No, I get it.
And that's history, and that's what it is. The 90s wasn't just about grunge. It was about a lot more than that. As you said, the 90s have basically been wiped out. It's absolutely bizarre. I mean, the Fire must have said, do we go to the 50s? Nah, screw it. We'll go to the 90s section and erase grunge. And I'm sorry, guys, but, what irks me, what really, really irks me is that they honestly must have thought they were going to get away with it. I just can't figure that out. Can anyone?
It was obviously going to come out sooner or later. I guess maybe they were hoping if they kept it secret for another 20, 30 years that no one would care about most of these artists anymore.
Well, that's a good point.
Well, and somebody, I think one of us last week sort of made the point that, hey, a lot of artists that haven't had FaceTime are about to get some. It'll be nice to be in the papers for a little while. Jimmy Eats World, I can't see them being on anybody's radar right now, but it doesn't hurt that we're talking about them right now. I mean, if there was any upside to this, which there's not really, I mean, that would be it. Anyway, can I just point out a couple of things about the day today, June 28th? In 1968, you ready, boys? Pink Floyd released their second album, A Saucer Full of Secrets, in the UK. This album, by the way, was the last Pink Floyd album on which Syd Barrett would appear. And I love Syd Barrett. Chuck?
Yeah, that's interesting. I was 2 years old when that album came out.
Well, 68, that would make me 742. No, we'll leave that. Also,
that'd be a twinkle in the milkman's eye, yeah?
Yeah, that is correct, sir. Also, on the very same day, 1997, Pink Floyd again, The Dark Side of the Moon spent its, ready for this, 1,056th week on the album chart. Not too shabby. Not too shabby for a bunch of rockers on acid. No, but I mean, it's absolutely insane. I mean, talking of making money, that is a license to print cash. Are you guys Pink Floyd fans? Because I'm a huge one.
I am.
Mike?
It's hard to not be a fan, isn't it? Let's be fair.
Well, I mean, Dark Side of the Moon, classic. I can remember putting that on in my bedroom going, so what are they talking about? But it was great. I mean, it was truly, truly amazing. That and Wish You Were Here. Good Lord. Game changers for me. Absolute game changers. But anyway, that was my quick delve into the world that is June 28th. Also, all right, if I can just touch on one more point here. Being 105, because we're just talking birthdays here, I'm actually in my centennial. No, I'll leave it. Going back to school is not an option, but word has it that you can now get a PhD in heavy metal. And I'm trying to work out what the PhD stands for, particularly heavy drugs. I don't know. But anyway, Mike, I know you're not happy about this. Can you enlighten us? Because I know you think this is BS.
Well, look, I mean, the thing is, when it comes to a lot of these sort of pop-up publicity stunt degrees that have been coming up over, for as long as I've been alive.
Oh, whoa. Are you saying that this isn't real?
Well, no, it's a real degree. As to how useful it is, that's another matter. I'd put it in the same camp as you do as things like when people do the Simpsons degree or the degree in playing PlayStation. Yeah. It's complete and utter garbage. But here's the thing: is you might think at first glance, oh, a degree in heavy metal. Well, maybe that's an extension of a music degree because it's a PhD. Maybe you're going on to specialise in learning absolutely everything, right? After maybe doing a music performance or something like that.
Yep.
No, that's not what this degree is. This degree is a cultural degree, right? So we're talking the relationship between the culture of heavy metal in Australia and with colonialism. Because, all of those colonists, they were all, rocking out, obviously. You can just imagine Captain Cook, with busting out some sick solos. Then we're looking at how gender is negotiated within the metal scene.
Wow.
And is it largely a white phenomenon? Do we really need to go down this rabbit hole? Does every single element of culture really, really need to be aggressively analysed in this way?
No. Well, is this purely for Australia, by the way?
It's a University of Newcastle, which is obviously an Australian university that's going to be offering this. But the thing is, what's the output of this?
If I could just quickly interject and just turn around and say, as much as, listen, I love AC/DC, we'll call that Australia, even though it's got a Scottish roots. We'll go in excess, definitely not metal, but it's another band. Have we got any? I'm trying to work out Australia's tentative link with heavy metal here. Chuck, any other metal bands from Australia?
I mean, you got Airborne, which is AC/DC Part 2.
Yeah, but it's the metal degree that we're afraid of. Mike, do you have to pay for this, by the way? Is this a paid?
Oh no. Well, yes, but they're currently offering 2 scholarships across. It's across 4 different degrees. But when you get an idea of what these other degrees are, you might get an idea of what kind of degree this is.
Okay,
the other degrees include things like veganism and unschooling, whatever the hell unschooling is.
What is unschooling?
I genuinely don't know, but it sounds
maybe it's like a progression of too cool for school. I mean, what is unschooling? We've got to look that up. Somebody's got to look that up. I can't even read. But
so that means you have a degree in unschooling.
It also means I could probably go for that degree in Australia. I mean, Mike, with regards to other strange degrees, you said The Simpsons.
Oh yeah, there's been a degree available in watching The Simpsons for years, playing PlayStation. You can get degrees in Elvish, all sorts of bizarre things.
Did you say Elvis or Elvish?
Elvish. Tolkien. Although it wouldn't surprise me if you could get one in Elvis. I bet somewhere offers it. And the thing is, a lot of these degrees have really been publicity stunts because they know that you go, okay, what's the cost of running this course that nobody's going to take and that we're not actually going to have to put on anyway? Well, bugger all. How many newspapers is that going to appear in? All of them. So, yeah, okay, we've just taken the bait here because we're talking about this, if that's where this has come from, from a PR department. As I said, the thing that bothers me about it is more that it's a cultural thing, which is going to have the output, at best. Let's say you went and studied that. What job do you get with that? You don't. You can't. It's a person that probably can't even play that well, let's be honest, who's going to sit on TV as a pundit whining about how, the heavy metal scene isn't inclusive enough. And in an ironic fashion, by moaning about all of that, if anything, you're going to put people off who are, from the very demographics that they're whining about not being included. They're going to be like, oh yeah, well, I guess it isn't for me.
Yeah, it sounds like a load of rubbish to me. If I'm being honest, I mean, it's got farce written all over it. Listen, it's a bit of news fodder for the day. But if I could kind of wrap up today with this, which I think is an incredibly sad story. I've actually met this fella more than once. The news, which is again, terrible. Stephen Adler hospitalized after self-inflicted stab wounds. I mean, I've met the fellow, and he's had a stroke. He's trying to keep his act together. He's a good guy. I mean, any time I've spent with Stephen, he's been a really good guy, and he's always been very, very nice to me. But tragically, he was hospitalized last night after stabbing himself in the stomach. Now, I don't know the exact details. I don't suppose anybody will for a few days, but that is tragic. I mean, this guy was refused the route back into Guns N' Roses for exactly these kind of reasons. They were like, listen, your mental health isn't right. And at first, it was all a bit bizarre. Axl Rose and Slash saying you can't come back in if you're a drug addict, because I think those two boys had done a few drugs in their time. But the problem being is I think Stephen has mental issues, and that's no laughing matter. But to hear that
clean
news,
now.
He was clean. I last saw Stephen last year at in the Rainbow, and he looked great. He really did. He looked great, but there has to be a problem here. I mean, look, he's watching those boys go off and make so much cash in that not in this lifetime tour. I mean, it is hand over fist, and it ain't over. It was supposed to be a quick year in and out, and Stephen actually got up, and I think he played 3 gigs. So he got up and played, and when I say 3 gigs, he got up and I think he played Mr. Brownstone or something. And then, a couple of weeks later, Axl pulled him up again. And you thought for a second, oh boy, here we go. They may get Stephen back in, maybe for half the gig, because the other drummer, Frank Ferrer, who's a mate of mine, he's the business. He's a great guy, and he's solid, and mentally he's there. Unfortunately, for GNR fans, they want to see Stephen playing. They want to see him, hanging with the boys. I mean, that initial band, Guns N' Roses, were a punk band playing rock music, absolutely in your face, F you, fantastic stuff. Unfortunately, with that comes money, and with that comes the chance to buy drugs, and Stephen took that route, and unfortunately, it's always going to be hanging around. Stephen stabbing himself last night, to me, is tragic. I mean, I just hope the guy's okay. Any thoughts on that, Chuck? I mean, you're a GNR fan.
Yeah, I saw GNR at the Troubadour before they were signed, talking about a punk band. It was amazing.
There you go.
No, I hope he's okay. I hope, maybe he was, they say people do things to attract attention to themselves. He's maybe in a bad spot, and now he's hopefully going to get through this and get some attention.
He's a good guy. Listen, it's not about the cash. The guy's apparently worth $13.4 million. Oh, crazy. I mean, just crazy money. $17 million, £13.4 million. I mean, just stupid money. And sometimes, the ambition is obviously still there with him, but I'm sure that from all three of us, we wish the guy all the best. And
totally.
A nice and speedy recovery. Look, I think that's it for us today, guys. I want to say thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Cheers, buddy.
Everybody for listening. Thank you very, very much. Listen, don't forget to like and subscribe, and come have a look at our site, rockmyworld.com. Till next week, kids. See ya.